Major Eleanor Ellie Vance was a pilot. This was a simple fact, like the sun rising or the sky being blue. But it was not simple at all. It was a truth forged in classrooms and simulators, in long nights of study and early mornings on the flight line. She was a pilot in the United States Air Force. She flew the C-17 Globemaster III, a massive transport aircraft that connected continents and delivered hope. Her role was more than just a job. It was a promise to serve, to lead, and to excel in a world where the horizon was not a limit, but a destination. She was a link in a chain of command, a leader of her crew, and a custodian of a multi-million-dollar machine designed to project power and peace. Every mission was significant. Every takeoff held purpose. The alarm clock's chime cut through the pre-dawn silence at 0400 hours. For Ellie, this was the familiar sound of a mission day beginning. There was no grogginess, no hitting the snooze button. The immediate shift from sleep to wakefulness, a mental switch flicked by years of discipline. The world outside was still wrapped in darkness, stars holding vigil. Her routine was a practiced ritual of quiet, deliberate actions to prepare mind and body. The first sip of coffee, a warm, grounding moment. She moved through her house with quiet efficiency. The flight suit, neatly laid out the night before, felt like a second skin. Patches, insignia, training, deployments, wings earned. Zipping it up was like putting on a suit of armor. Complex checklists, changing weather patterns, management of risk. She checked her flight bag one last time. Charts, manuals, a headset, a pair of sunglasses. Every item had its place. This organization was not just a habit, it was a fundamental part of the pilot's mindset. The drive to the airbase was a time of mental transition. Quiet suburban streets slowly gave way to the structured environment of the military installation. The music in her car was soft, a calming backdrop to the internal processes already whirring to life. The flight line was a city that never slept. Even in the dim morning light, it was a hive of activity, a meticulously choreographed ballet of people and machines. Ground crews moved with purpose, reflective vests catching the first rays of sun. Fuel trucks rumbled past like patient beasts. The air hummed with the distant whine of auxiliary power units, the sharp sounds of metal on metal. The sheer scale of the operation was always humbling. It took a village and army of dedicated professionals to get a single aircraft off the ground. Ellie felt a surge of pride, and then she saw it. Parked on the expansive concrete apron, her C-17 Globemaster III waited. It was impossible to ever get used to the size of it. The aircraft was immense, a behemoth of gray metal. Its high T-tail reached for the sky, standing over 55 feet tall like the fin of a great whale. Its wingspan stretched nearly 170 feet, broad and powerful, designed to lift over 500,000 pounds. Climbing the ladder into the C-17's flight deck felt like entering the nerve center of a living creature. The cockpit was a panoramic space, a bubble of glass technology perched high above the ground. The array of screen switches dials was dizzying to the uninitiated. Ellie, Captain Miller, it was a familiar and logical landscape. This was their office. The pre-flight checklist was their scripture, a meticulously crafted document that ensured every one of the aircraft's thousands of components was functioning perfectly. This was a symphony of checks and balances, and they were the conductors. Power is on.
Battery bus is hot.
Ellie responded in kind, her fingers dancing across the overhead panel, flipping switches in a practice sequence.
Roger that.
APU start sequence initiated. The low hum of the auxiliary power unit vibrated through the airframe, bringing the aircraft's systems to life. The dark screens flickered on. Fuel levels, hydraulic pressures, engine statuses, navigation data. With the pre-flight checks complete, a brief moment of quiet settled over the flight deck. The engines were not yet started, and the only sound was the gentle hum of the avionics and the air conditioning. This was the calm before the climb, a pocket of time Ellie always treasured. She gazed out through the panoramic windows at the now fully illuminated airfield. The sun was climbing higher, glinting off the wings of other aircraft. The world outside was busy, but inside this cockpit, there was a profound sense of focus and readiness. All the preparation, the studying, the training, it all led to this moment. Her mind was a clear, calm lake. The anxieties and distractions of the outside world had no place here. There was only the mission. She thought about the maneuver they were about to perform, a maximum performance takeoff. This wasn't a standard gentle ascent. It used the C-17's full, unbridled power to get airborne in the shortest distance possible. Tactical use, short runways, compromised runways, demanding, exhilarating, requiring absolute precision from the crew.
Ready to go, ma'am? Ready as I'll ever be, Miller.
Tower, reach 345, ready for departure, runway 22 left. Ellie's voice was the epitome of calm professionalism over the radio.
Reach 345, cleared for takeoff, runway 22 left. Wind is 210 at 8 knots. Fly runway heading.
This was it. The final clearance. Ellie nudged the throttles forward. The 4 massive engines spooled up from a deep hum to a hungry whine. The aircraft rolled forward, taxiing from its parking spot onto the long black ribbon of the runway. As they lined up with the center line, the sheer length of the asphalt stretched out before them. Ready for max power, Ellie announced to the crew. Affirmations came back through the headset from Miller, Davis, Chen.
Set brakes.
Then her hands moved to the 4 throttle levers. She pushed them forward, all the way to the stops. The gentle giant was gone. In its place was a beast, straining at its leash. The entire airframe shuddered as the engines roared to life.
Brakes release.
The result was instantaneous and violent. The C-17 surged forward with a force that pinned everyone back in their seats. The acceleration was breathtaking, more like a sports car launch than a heavy transport takeoff. The aircraft was stable, tracking perfectly down the center line.
120 knots. V1. Rotate.
The maximum performance takeoff was more than just a display of raw power. It was the ultimate test of a pilot's skill and an aircraft's capability. It required an intimate knowledge of aerodynamics and a deep trust in the machine. She was actively flying the airplane, her senses attuned to every vibration, every change in sound, and every piece of data on her flight displays. The challenge was to maintain a precise airspeed and angle of attack, balancing on the fine edge of the aircraft's performance envelope. Too slow and they could stall. Too fast, and they would exceed structural limits. When Miller called out positive rate, Ellie responded with gear up, and he retracted the landing gear. As they reached their initial altitude and the climb angle shallowed out, the intense G-forces subsided. Ellie smoothly transitioned the aircraft to a normal climb profile, reducing engine power from its maximum setting to a more sustainable level. As the C-17 leveled off at its cruising altitude, the world below became a patchwork quilt of greens and browns. The mission continued for several more hours, practicing air-to-air refueling and tactical approaches before they returned to base. After a smooth landing and taxiing back to their parking spot, the roar of the engines finally fell silent. A profound sense of accomplishment washed over Ellie. The mission was a success. The crew performed flawlessly. The aircraft responded perfectly. Walking away from the aircraft on the now dark tarmac, Ellie felt the quiet satisfaction of a job well done. It was more than just a machine. It was a symbol of what was possible when people worked together, when technology was pushed to its limits, and when individuals dedicated themselves to a cause greater than themselves. She hoped her story, her flight today, would be a small spark for someone else's dream. Go fly your own mission. The sky is full of dreams waiting to be caught. She was a woman in a field once dominated by men, but she never saw it as breaking a barrier. She saw it as simply doing her job, and doing it well. The uniform she wore was a symbol, not of what she was, but of who she was. A dedicated officer, a skilled aviator, and an American Airman. Her presence in the cockpit was a quiet statement of progress. It was a testament to the idea that skill, determination, and courage know no gender. Young girls on airbase tours would sometimes see her, their eyes wide with wonder. They would see a woman in a flight suit, confidently striding toward a colossal gray aircraft, and in that moment, a seed of possibility would be planted. Ellie was aware of this, but it was a quiet awareness. Her primary focus was always the mission, the safety of her crew, and the perfect execution of every procedure. She was a hero to some, but to herself, she was just Ellie, a pilot about to go to work. Her story was not one of singular, grand gestures. It was a story written in the daily grind, in the thousands of small decisions made correctly, in the unwavering focus required to command a machine of such scale and complexity. It was a story of quiet competence and profound responsibility. As the first light of dawn began to paint the sky, Ellie knew that today's flight was another chapter. It was another opportunity to prove her mettle, to honor the trust placed in her, and to soar through the vast open skies, carrying not just cargo, but the weight of a legacy she was proud to uphold.